You are now listening to Handsome Reads. Hey, what is this scene? Yeah. Greetings to all my listeners and viewers from other parts of the world. If you didn't know and were not yet blessed with the opportunity to interact with a citizen of the beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, this is how we say hello. So, where is the scene? That being said, I hope this video finds you in the best of spirits, ready to have another episode of Army of Sin Season 2 read to you. Did you know that we are actually already halfway through our second season together? I have to say, it has been an honor. Today's episode, titled Paths That Cross, pivots back to Aix, France, as we continue with friends Evangeline and Mona at their photo shoot. Location, Aix, France. I feel utterly ridiculous, Evangeline groused. You look amazing, Mona replied, having come over to observe preparations. She made sure to stand out of the way as the makeup artist continued her ministrations on the face of her best friend. Like a darker, sexier Xena warrior princess. Woman power everywhere. Evangeline replied, doing her best not to smile and mess up the canvas that her face had become for the makeup artist. There, the makeup artist Isabel sighed happily, slipping her brush into the long case that contained the tools of her trade before securing the entire set. A wizard as always, Isabel, Evangeline thanked the shorter woman with ancestral traces of Latin mother and Asian father imprinted all over her facial features. No probs, hon. Hey, Mona, she acknowledged Evangeline's best friend with a soft smile. Bye, gorgeous, Mona replied with a soft smile of her own. Mons? Evangeline trailed. What? Mona asked innocently, eyes lingering on Isabel's departing legs. Too much feminine energy, Evangeline replied with a shake of her head before pushing to her feet. I look ridiculous, she ground out. Mona bit the inside of her cheek, trying her best not to laugh as Evangeline enunciated each word. Folding her arms, Mona shifted her weight as she swept her gaze over her friend's beguiling costume. The leather of Evangeline's sandals was cured until they were dark brown in color, a pair of shin guards standing just beneath the kneecaps. Her smooth upper legs were bare and toned, disappearing beneath the warrior shirt she wore. Around her waist, a medieval replica of a sword hung from her jeweled belt, its pommel a metallic bronze. The mounds of her breast peaked over the top of her leather corset, rising and falling with each breath, small beads of sweat disappearing into her exaggerated cleavage. Just below her sternum was the face of a white cobra with jaws spread wide to reveal poisonous fangs. She was certainly something to look at, Mona thought with a grin. You look like a dream, she said aloud. I totally agree with management, Andre chimed in as he walked over to where they sat under a hastily erected tent. Don't you dare, Evangeline playfully snapped as the photographer made as if to raise hands to the camera he always wore around his neck. My apologies, milady. I shall resist. He backed off with hands up. We're ready when you are. I'll be in the garden. Go get him, Tigress, Mona encouraged as Andre took his exit. Lights, camera, action. The two friends finished with a bump of fists. They were shooting the current catalogue for a travel magazine that planned to feature chosen parts of France, one of them being the tiny village of �絵𝐿. The main attraction of the old-fashioned village they wished to highlight was the exotic garden set on the site of some ancient ruins. Andrea had the model and production crew conduct the photography mainly on the western side of the garden, near a tiny pool that overlooked the expanse of deep blue sea below. The actual shoot passed without incident, the models all performing their roles with experienced precision. This particular catalogue did not require a multitude of wardrobe changes. Even Carolina, who played the role of a chambermaid, drew calls of appreciation from Andre amid non-stop shutter clicks of his camera. Overall, it was still Evangeline who was the highlight of proceedings. Her poses of slashing and sweeping sword strikes held all those gathered in thrall, one topped only by the final pose of the shoot. She stood, looking out toward the sprawl of Mediterranean below. The sun's rays twinkled emerald on the ocean surface from this distance. Her sword dripped fake blood, while on her lips was a confidence-laced smirk. Two warrior woman braids flowed past her shoulder blades. At her side stood her fellow fighter, Lino, who leaned on the handle of his sword, the expanse of his sweaty shoulders complementing hers, as if they had just defeated countless others in battle. Evangeline ignored the man at her side, this time around, too enthralled by the beauty below. There was no sensation this time with him this close. She had hoped to feel her body tingle that way again. The closest she had gotten today was a brief, poisonous stare from Carolina as they had walked past each other. But that was nothing compared to the rush she had felt during their first shoot back in Marseille. Okay, that's enough, Andre announced as everyone broke out in a round of applause, sharing grins left and right. Tilting her head slightly, Evangeline locked eyes with the warm brown of Lino's before sharing a soft smile and a nod, before walking over to where Mona stood with an uncapped bottle of water in hand. Thanks, love, she greeted with a sigh as the water slid down her throat, cooling her within from the warm afternoon sun. No probsy. You good? Starving, Evangeline replied, turning to let Mona undo the leather straps of her gear, groaning as the corset loosened. Mona took her time exposing her friend's soft skin, resisting the urge to lightly blow across her neck, an act that would have caused paws to go rippling across the skin in response. You done? Evangeline murmured softly, accepting of her friend enough to indulge ever so often. You really are something special, Evangeline Gervais. I know, Evangeline winked before stepping out of her skirt to pull on a grey sundress that hugged her slight curves. What's good here? Well, according to the travel guide, there's supposed to be some place called Le Sanctuaire, Mona replied with a shrug. You can check there out if you like. Once the food is good, I guess. I could eat a miniature horse right about now. Well, look at you, Mona laughed. Let's go. I think everyone is heading over to celebrate the shoot. It was a mere 15-minute walk down from the garden to the restaurant that found the troupe enthralled by the antique feel of the village. Although littered with tourist attractions and small cafes, the pulse of the populace was still rustic in nature. They all came to a stop before an open pair of tall wooden doors, above which hung a sign that read, Le Sanctuaire. An awed hush fell over the group as they took their first step inside. At the podium, just inside the door, stood the restaurant's maître d' for the late afternoon shift. "What is this place?" Evangeline asked in hushed tones, eyes falling upon the seats of cut and carved concrete slabs. Marielle looked up from where she stood scribbling in her data logger and had to do all in her power not to gawk at the woman who had just walked through the door. Her field of vision narrowed as her focus fell on one woman. She was breathtaking in her overly casual wear, thick all over with toned abs that was deliciously visible due to her cropped top. Her legs were clad in a pair of black tights, feet in sandals. Marielle swallowed convulsively as the woman laughed at something, her chest rising, promising to overflow Marielle's hands with their abundance. Snapping out of her daydream, Marielle moved from behind her station to greet Andre. "Mr. Sana, how very nice to see you again." "Sherry, forgive me, but I can never tell the two of you apart," Andre apologized, greeting their host with a warm hug. "I am Marielle," she admonished lightly. "I see you have finally returned with your entire group." "Yes, and hungry mouths all around." "Right this way, then," Marielle instructed cheerfully, no longer disturbed by her own response to the gorgeous woman with an afro of curls. "Everywhere we go? Seriously?" "What?" "You're doing it again." "Doing what?" Mona asked innocently. "Look at the waitress," Evangeline pressed, pushing down the green ooze of jealousy unfurling in her stomach. "Please, have a seat," Marielle motioned to those gathered in accented English. "My name is Marielle, the designated maître d'. However, I will be leaving you in the very capable hands of my sister, Leela, who will be with you shortly. If you have any requests, feel free to pass them on to her." She left to a chorus of gratitude, the smile still on her face as she poked her head into the kitchen area. Gigi looked up from where she stood next to Abigail as the younger cook worked on an original recipe to see the red of Marielle's hair in the doorway. "Keep stirring," she instructed softly, her voice reaching Abigail even over the sizzle of butter upon a warm skillet. Wiping hands on the dishcloth tucked into her waistband, she ticked off another order before crossing to the door. "Andre has returned," Marielle offered in a rush of her mother tongue. "He's back." "Guess?" "12 in total." "Mr. Brock just arrived as well," the redhead replied, making a face at the mention of one of the many millionaires that sought out Gigi's cooking prowess. "Good. I shall be out to see them all soon," Gigi comforted, knowing the tendencies of this guest. "Give Andre my regards until then." "Certainly, chef." "Oh, and Marielle?" Gigi called out, stopping her as she pushed her way through the second pair of swinging doors leading back to the dining area. "Yes, chef?" Your face is very red. Is there something that you are not telling me? Gigi asked with a wink, laughing softly as Marielle turned a shade that almost matched her natural hair. No, chef, Marielle choked out, laughing as she blushed even harder, shaking her head as her employer turned to head back into the kitchen. End of episode. Yeah. Pieces starting to fall into place, no? If not, then check back in at the next episode for yet another clue. But wait, you thought I forgot? You thought I forgot about our positivity? Of course not. We do not. And hear me good. We do not acknowledge those that try to dim our light in an effort to make theirs shine brighter. Continue taking exceptional care of yourself. Till next time, and as always, love and light.